Amy Curry is one of my favorite authors. She is originally from the hills of eastern Kentucky, but now resides here in East Tennessee with her husband Richard and cast of pets. Growing up, Amy had a love for reading and writing poetry. She took that love of writing and turned it into a hobby that led to her passion. I'm excited to have her on today to talk about her latest projects. Welcome, Amy. I'm so happy to have you on my brand new show.
Thank you so much for having me, Christy. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm happy to be your first guest on your brand new show.
Oh, good. So we're not strangers. So let's tell the audience how we know each other.
Christy and I met a long time ago, back whenever I had my first candle shop, and she worked in a little kiosk out in the mall. So we were always hanging out and having fun. She was directly in front of my front door, so I saw her every day, and we became really good friends.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. We've been friends for 25 years now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually working down the hall in the mall at a clothing store, and my friend Kathy was working at the kiosk, and I
Yep.
would come down and see her for lunch and then come over and shop at your candle shop, which, listen,
Yeah.
that was the best smelling place in the whole mall. I loved it.
I really miss it. I probably miss making the candles and the people more than anything, not the long hours, but you know how it is.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
have your own business, you have to do it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said in the intro, you are a writer now. You're an author. So, tell the audience about how you got into writing, how you went from a candle shop to being an author.
That's a huge leap, big jump. For me, I've always loved writing, did a lot of poetry, especially in high school. I had a really great English teacher who encouraged everyone to use their writing skills. It was really, for me, just that love of telling stories. And if you all know me at all, you know I'm a big talker. I'm like Christy, we like to talk. So I'm a big storyteller. And in doing so, I've picked up characters in my life along the way, and I just thought, hey, why not put it down on paper and let everybody else read about them too?
That's a fantastic idea. So, as you said, and I saw a post of yours yesterday on Facebook about how you could be in a Starbucks and the guy next to you having coffee, or the guy standing at the counter could be a character in your next book.
I'm always, always, always looking for people to kill off in my books. When I interviewed for the job that I have now, I told them that, they asked me some fun things about myself, and I explained to them that I was a writer. I said I kill people on paper. Prison, orange is not my color. Yeah. So I'm not trying to go there. But yeah, I mean, characters for me, I like to pick up different things from different people. It could be the way they say certain words, or the way that they carry themselves, the way they move their hair out of their face. It's all the little things that we like to pick up as writers and put into our characters.
Yeah. So, while prepping for this interview, I learned something that I did not know about you. Your first series of books was based on your candle shop.
Yeah.
Your business that you owned.
Yeah. Back in the day, I had Amy's Country Candles, and we ran that for a pretty good while. When I first started out, people told me to write what you know. And in writing what I knew, that's what I knew. That had been my life for a really long time. It was a huge part of who I was. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to make the character own a candle shop. At least I don't have to do a lot of research on that. I already know how to handle that. Yeah.
So, what did Richard, your husband, so you're married to your wonderful husband, Richard, what did he think when you first started writing? How did you introduce that to him? Did you keep it a secret and write your first book, or did he know all along?
He kind of knew all along that I was kind of putting some things down. I started out the old-fashioned way, pen and paper, and then I pulled out the computer and kind of started jotting it all into a Word document. But he was pretty supportive even in the beginning. I didn't really know where it was going to go. He didn't really know where it was going to go. By the time I hit 10,000 words, he knew I was getting serious. So now every time he's like, how far have you gotten now?
Oh.
How far are you in this book? So now I'm up to 5 books that are published. 6th one coming soon, and I've got probably a couple more written. So it's been a labor of love, and he's been very, very supportive.
Well, it's always good to have somebody who supports your dream. I just have a feeling, Amy, that one of these days you're going to do this full time for a living. I really do. I feel like that it's not just going to be a hobby or something or a passion. I feel like it's going to be a full-time job for you.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's what I'm working towards. I have submitted to a traditional publisher. I'm currently an indie author. That means I publish my own works and things of that nature, which means that I'm always promoting because I'm always working. But I have submitted to traditional publishers. I have not received a rejection, nor have I received a confirmation. So we're just going to leave that hanging out there, and if the good Lord wants it that way, otherwise I'll keep doing it the way I'm doing it because I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I was going to say it's in God's hands.
Yeah.
So from my lips to God's ears, you know,
There you go.
You're gonna
Absolutely.
do it. I really believe that. So you've written, like you said, 6 books.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got many more in the works. I already
Yeah.
know about them. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of different characters. And I know that has to be really hard to come up with because each book has at least, I'm talking like 10, 15 characters in it. Even
Oh,
if they're
yeah.
side characters. I've read your
Yeah.
works and they are fantastic. Amy, you're one of my
Thank you.
favorite authors. But how do you come up with all the ideas and all the characters?
Oh gosh, I get ideas from everywhere. Honestly, it's not long ago we were just walking on a nature trail, and I looked at my husband. I was like, I could write a series on this, and now I've got that laid out to write. So it's a little funny. But as far as characters go, I start with my basics, and then as the story progresses, I think, okay, in real life, what would this need? As far as like people go, nobody is on an island. We all interact with people all day long, whether it's in the grocery store, at our jobs, just everywhere, at church, wherever it might be. We all interact with tons of folks every day. So I always just try to think in terms of real life. What would make this story more rich and more full and more realistic? Because you can't just have one character throughout the whole book. It's not realistic. Nobody's that way.
Right, yeah. So let's back up to the very beginning. Your very first book, and do you know that on my Facebook memories this morning it popped up and it was released today,
Yep.
in June, and on June 6th, 2017.
Yeah.
So tell us about that book, and let's move forward in that series, and then we'll hop to the next series.
Okay, so I did 3 books in that first series. We had Spring Blooms and Murder. We had Star Spangled Murder, which was set to come out right before, of course, like the 4th of July, because we had the fireworks on the cover. It was really great. And then I moved on to one. That first series kind of ran along seasonal lines. We had spring, then we had summer, and then we had fall. And I had Scarecrow, Skeletons, and Murder. And so those were really fun books for me to write. I feel like I've grown so much more since those first books because those were really short books. Those, by everybody else's terms, are probably more like novellas than actual novels. But for me, just getting those books out there and just being able to get words on paper and have it come to, seeing that come in the mail and hold it in my hands, that was just the most exciting thing.
Yeah, it's such a sense of accomplishment. I mean,
Yeah.
even typing the words "the end" or knowing you are at the end,
Yes.
that's such an accomplishment. And then to actually hold it in your hand, it's like your baby.
Yes.
And then, how do you feel when you have it in your hand and it's time to release it to the public? Are you a little nervous and a little skittish about that? How it's going to be received?
I'm always a little nervous to hit that publish button on Amazon. That is a huge deal for me because I always tell people not everybody's going to love your work, and that's okay. But as long as you write because that's what you want to do and you want to tell stories, you're never going to please everybody, and that's fine.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, as long as it's your passion, T.D. Jakes, the preacher T.D. Jakes, he always says, don't look for your purpose in life, look for your passion. And when you find your passion, then you'll find your purpose, or your purpose will find you. And so writing is obviously your passion, and I honestly believe, again, it's going to become your purpose. So that first series of books, the 3 books, had characters Mickey Bridgewater, Mickey Bridgewater. I'm sorry, I don't know why.
I know.
I've done that for years.
When people look at it, we always do that with characters in books. We never know how to pronounce them because we don't know what the writer is thinking. But I guess in my head, it's just, I had a friend named Nikki that was Nikki.
Okay.
So I went with Mickey,
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about those characters. Tell the audience. I already know because I've read the books and they
Yeah.
are fantastic. You guys, you have to pick up her books. So tell us a little bit about those characters in those books.
So in Spring Blooms and Murder, we met Mickey Bridgewater, and she was a girl who thought that her life was going to be spectacular. She thought she was going to do wonderful, great, extravagant things, and she realized that that's not always how life works. And sometimes we just get up and go to work every day and just have a normal, regular life. And she becomes okay with that. And she finds her passion in her candle shop and her small town and her best friend, Meg. And it becomes a whole thing where we meet all of these wonderful people that make her life so much greater. And then, of course, you know, we lose a person and it's somebody that nobody really liked anyway. And that's the fun part about killing people in books. You get to give them personalities that nobody really cares for. And I will tell you that I do base characters off people I know. And even the ones I kill, those are also
like
based
that.
off people I know. It might not specifically be, it could be parts of different people, but I do tend to, base characters, especially the ones I kill, off people I know.
I like that. I like that. You guys better watch out. You better be nice to Amy.
Exactly. You could end up in my next book.
So I want to let the audience know that you write what's called cozy mysteries.
Yes.
And explain to the audience what that is. What
Okay,
is a cozy
so
mystery?
a cozy mystery is just like a regular mystery. It has all of your intrigue, all of those elements of a regular mystery. The puzzle in the whodunit and things like that. All the main difference with those and cozy mysteries is you don't kill someone on page. There's no gore. There's no, nothing really bad. And it's typically a lot of humor involved, and usually your main character is somebody who bumbles over things just like we do, and it's just a normal, regular everyday person. And she just happens to want to be the person who solves a mystery and solves a murder. So it's really great.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. I certainly could not do cozy mysteries. I tried it, and it wasn't for me because I get lost in who my killer was. I can't remember who the killer was or the red herrings and all that. And I've told you before, I really admire you for being able to keep it straight. So, and I've always said that they remind me of like Hardy Boy, Nancy Drew type books. They're very clean and they're cozy.
Yes.
And they're good little mysteries and they're really good books. So how did you bounce from Mickey Bridgewater and Meg to your next series, the Eagle Lake series?
Okay, so I think it was book 3, we kind of introduced the characters that are in my Eagle Lake series. And it was a set of sisters. And we saw them briefly, and they were kind of friends with Mickey and Meg, and we got to see them and interact with them a little bit. And after that series had kind of wrapped up, I say kind of wrapped up because I haven't quite put a finishing touch on that one yet. But after that was done, I kind of took a break. And, I went to work and did some ghostwriting for another company for a little while. And after that had run its course, I decided to take another little break. I lost my dad in there and things like that. So I just felt the urge to jumpstart and get back into writing my own material. And in doing so, I thought, well, I've kind of wrapped up with Mickey and Meg, and so I wanted to move on. And I wrote just a short, cozy novella, just a quick introduction to the series that we're in now. And that one was, it was called The Disappearing Act. And that introduced us full on to Lily and Daisy Evergreen. And it's no coincidence that they're named after flowers and trees. It's just because of where the series is set. And their parents were kind of hippies in the book, and so they were all about the nature. And so we got introduced to them, and then our third character we brought in on the side as well. So it was really fun to get to keep some of my old people as well, but then to bring in the new people. And that kind of got me going on, okay, these girls really need a whole series of their own.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the crossover too because in
Big Bass Catcher.
Big Bass Catcher, yeah, I always stumble over that. Big Bass Catcher and Body on a Stretcher. Mickey makes an appearance.
Yeah.
She comes back, and I love that, the crossover. It's like watching 2 TV shows and then the characters cross over. I love
Exactly.
that. How did you feel? Is that something you knew you wanted to do, or did you just, like you were writing, and you was like, hey, I think I'll have Mickey pop in?
Well, I knew from the beginning I wanted to do that because having introduced them from my first series, I wanted some of the characters that people were familiar with to make an appearance. And we just gave them little parts. But I will tell you that I got several messages and several emails after Big Bass Catcher, because somewhere in where Mickey Bridgewater ended and Eagle Lake series started, Mickey and Paul got married. So when we see them in the series, they're only dating. But when she makes an appearance in Big Bass Catcher, she is now married. And so I had people say, where's our wedding? Yeah. So that's why I said I'm not completely wrapped up yet, because I think I have to at least do a novella and give them their wedding, because people are starting to clamor for it.
Also, there was another huge surprise in Big Bass Catcher, and I know you got a lot of messages about it. I'm not going to give it away.
Yeah.
I don't want to do a spoiler or anything here, but there was a scene in there that just blew me away. I did not see it coming, and I know that you said a lot of people said that.
Yeah, I can remember when I got, I sent my book in for edits, and I'm just going to shout out Cilla Webb. She is the best editor in the world, and she also does cover and all that design work for me. I can remember getting the edits back, and she always does kind of the line edits and puts the notes out to the side, and usually it's, for the love of God, woman, use a contraction or something, funny or whatever. But literally at the end of that, at that scene, when I look at the side, she said, that is the most powerful paragraph in the book. So for me, that was huge, because that's what you want as a writer.
Absolutely.
You want that one thing that speaks to people, that one thing that jumps out and catches them off guard. Especially in a mystery, you want to catch people off guard.
Absolutely. And you did. I mean, I was sitting there reading the book, and I kind of I couldn't put it down, for one thing. They're very interesting. It held my attention, and it was really interesting. But when I got there, so I'm reading what was going on in the scene. Like I said, I'm not going to give it away. And when that happened, I was like, whoa. And I felt it, I felt it. I was like, gosh, where'd that come from? And I messaged you immediately. I put the book down and I messaged you, and like, oh my goodness, I did not see that coming.
Exactly.
So that's the hallmark of a fantastic writer, Amy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of caught myself off guard writing that one a little bit. Once I started that scene and I had her where I had her, I thought, I've got to make this something really special. I rewrote that probably 5 times.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
to make it, because as I would read it, I was like, nope, that's not good enough. Nope, that's not good enough. I would back it up and I would redo it again until I got it to the point where I thought, that is going to punch people in the gut.
Yeah, it definitely did. And that was, I'm glad that you rewrote it and you stopped on the last time, because that's fantastic. And that's like I said, the hallmark of a great writer, but you always want that in a book.
Yeah.
If you're reading a book and it's boring, you're just like, well, whatever. But when you get to that, and then that's what makes you go like, whoa, I've got to find out what goes on.
Exactly.
Next
I have to
page,
know what happens next.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I couldn't put it down. Unfortunately, your second book that came out, The Campground Struggle,
Campground Struggles and Murderous Troubles.
Murderous Troubles.
Yep.
I started reading it, but I've been like super busy with my job and everything in life, and I haven't got to finish it. But so far, it's really good.
Thank
and I'm
you.
enjoying
Yeah,
it.
that one was kind of exciting to write too, and I think my biggest struggle was book 3, because you're wrapping up a series. That's always a big, because you kind of don't want to stop writing, because you've gotten to know your characters and they start to feel like family. So you don't really want to let them go. So that was a little bit of I think I took probably longer writing book 3 than I did either of the other 2.
Do we have a title for that yet?
We do. That is Campers, Canoes, and Fishing for Clues.
Ooh, I like that. So, as Amy said a while ago, she said, write what you know. So, if you can't tell by now, Amy loves to fish, Amy loves to camp, Amy loves to go canoeing. Amy does not like to kill people.
No.
But only on paper.
Only on paper, yeah.
But so I've just really enjoyed all of your books. Tell me about what's next. So you just wrapped up the 3rd book in this next series. Tell me what other projects you have.
Currently, I'm writing a Christian Cozy series. I've got 3 books laid out for that. Book 1 is actually already written. Book 2, I'm probably about a quarter of the way through. So I've got all those ready. They're plotted. I just have to get them written. Some of the other things that I'm looking to do would be, like I said, novellas. for wrapping up a few things that I have going on. And it's always fun to do like a holiday one, like a Halloween or a Christmas or something, and bringing those characters back and kind of give everybody a little taste of what they're doing now. And because we always, like when we wrap up our favorite TV shows or things like that, you always think, wonder what they're doing now. Even though we know they're fictional and whatever, we still like to know what they're doing. One of the other things is I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, and I'm writing a clean romance. So think like Hallmark movie romance type things. And that one is already plotted. Christy, I slung the plot at her just as soon as I got it finished, and I was like, okay, read this. Tell me what you think. It currently gives me the side eye every time I open up my computer. It's like, hello, I'm over here. You're going to write me. So it's still waiting to be written. One of the other things I noticed is I have a lot of young readers. So I'm looking at starting some middle grade mysteries. And those are kind of like the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew type mysteries. I'm trying to capture those readers because if they're already reading my cozy series, I feel like, okay, and I write clean anyway, but I feel like I'm doing them a disservice by not allowing them to have characters that are their age and getting those experiences that they're having. So I've got 3 of those laid out. I've already started plotting on the first one. I actually was working on that during lunch today. I'm so thankful that my job allows me at my lunch to just have a little free time. I get an hour, so I'll pull up the computer and start, typing away and getting things done. But yeah, so I've got a lot of, oh my gosh, I have so many series plot or ready to plot. I've got probably at least 15 3-book series laid out.
Oh, wow. Amy, that's fantastic.
Every time I turn around, I'm laying out a new series, and it's a little maddening because I know I'll be 150 by the time I get them all written.
Hey, you know what, though? You're having fun. And I don't mean to bounce back to a painful time, but I know that you said, when your dad passed away, you stopped writing. And that hurt me for you. I hated that. And when you got back into it, now you're going for full force, and I know your dad would be so proud and so happy.
Yeah. Growing up, my dad took me camping. He took me fishing. He's the one who taught me all about the outdoors. And there are some, I guess we'll call them Easter eggs in my second series that are, shout outs to my dad and some other members of my family that I kind of throw their names in here and there, and it's anybody who knows me catches those kind of things. If a reader doesn't know me, to them it's another character, but the people who know me will be able to look at that and say, oh wait, I know who she's talking about. So it's really fun. Yeah.
You have Dennis as a character, and that's your dad's name, Dennis.
Yeah, it's my dad's name, Dennis.
When I saw that, I was like, what a fantastic tribute to your dad to even get back into writing, and that I know he's looking down and he's proud of you.
Thank you.
But moving back to the teenage series or the young readers, how fun will that be? That will be so much fun writing.
It's going to be so exciting because I get to go back and be a kid again. I get to think about all the fun things I did when I was 12 years old. The riding the bikes and just getting out with your friends and climbing trees and playing in the hills and just having a good time. And so it's going to be really great, and they're going to get to solve really fun mysteries. And I'm not going to make those too heavy because, let's be honest, they're kids, and we don't want to make life any heavier on kids than we need to. They already have to grow up so quickly. We want to let them be kids as long as we can. So I'm going to give them fun mysteries to solve, and it's going to be really great.
I have a question for you that just popped in my head. I bet you like Scooby-Doo.
Oh my gosh.
Growing up,
I
did too.
Scooby-Doo.
So I was like, I bet she likes Scooby-Doo because they solve mysteries. They were young people solve mysteries. So I love your books, and I hope that everybody that sees the show will order at least one series.
Exactly.
Once you order one series, you're going to order them all.
It's like chips. You can't have just one.
You can't have just one, yeah. So now I'm going to ask a question that everybody wants to know the answer to. How would you, if somebody came to you and said, Amy, I want to start writing too. What do I do? Tell me. Let's lay it out. Tell me the first thing to the last thing, how to get a book published.
Okay, so the first thing I tell people as aspiring writers, read everything you can get your hands on, because that's how you're going to figure out what styles you like, and even something as simple as writing in present tense, past tense, those kinds of things, because some of them are harder to read for people. So if it's hard for you to read, you're not going to want to write that way. And really plotting is a huge deal. I used to never plot. My first series was completely by the seat of my pants. I had no clue what I was doing. I just started writing, and it just went where it went. After my other short stint with ghostwriting, I learned to plot because heavens knows they needed it. And so after now, I can't go back to just writing by the seat of my pants. I have to plot. And that's the advice I give everybody. If you have an idea for something, just kind of lay out all your ideas about where you want the story to go and then break that down and then break it down a little further. And that's how you start writing. And then just fill in your blanks. And once you do that, you turn around and you've got 40,000 words written and you don't even realize it. So it's really fun. And then when you do that, there are all kinds of avenues that you can go to get published. You can go the traditional route. There are hybrid publishers, but those people do tend to charge you a little bit. And then you can do indie publishing like we've done. And those kinds of things, you pay for somebody to edit your work, you pay for covers, but all the uploading and all of the back work is all you. And that's what I say all the time. I'm always working. So I'm always promoting. You'll see pretty much every day I'm on some sort of social media. I'm giving posts. I'm joining groups. I'm getting all these discussions going because all those people in those groups that have published way more books than I have all have great advice. And so you're always learning. And from my first one till now, I feel like, I mean, yeah, it's been 6 years, but I still feel like I've grown a whole lot from that. And I feel like if we're talking 6 years from now, it's going to be, even better because I'm going to, feel like I'm so much more accomplished and I'm so much better at what I do.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to the Christian Cozy series.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that. And the clean romance, the Hallmark type. I'm really excited about that. Nobody dies in that.
No.
Nobody dies.
It's all love.
Yeah, they fall in love and think Hallmark,
Exactly.
So.
And I once I get that one written, I do intend to pitch that to a studio because they have those open things where you can pitch your ideas.
Pitch
So
fest, yeah.
hopefully I can get that pitched and maybe, just maybe, you
Yeah.
guys might see my characters on screen one day.
Yeah, I think we will. I really do. I believe in you. I believe in that. I do. So tell our audience where they can find your books.
Everything I've got right now is on Amazon. This last time I switched everything over and went strictly Amazon. I was wide before, and for anybody that doesn't know what that means that you could have gotten me on Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Apple, and all those other things. I didn't really do a lot of sales on those. All of it came from Amazon, so I just switched to strictly Amazon. I have all of my links on my website and things like that, but not my website, I'm sorry, I don't have a website yet. She's still working on the website. On my social media pages, I have, links I'm constantly posting, but you can just go on there and search my name and it brings all my books up and it's,
We'll post all of that at the end of
Okay.
the show. I'll put it on the screen somewhere, your links and all that. But yeah, I know about the wide. It's really hard to make money from the Kobo, the Book Nook, Barnes and Noble, all that stuff.
Exactly.
It's easier if you just have it in that one place like Amazon, and I think you really do see more.
You do, yeah.
Sales like that. Also, it's really hard being your own marketer.
yes.
So you go from having the idea, writing the book,
Yep.
choosing your cover, choosing a title. For me, that's like choosing a title is hard.
That's the first thing I usually do.
Oh,
I'm so backwards.
and then you go through the whole process of the edits and then sending it back and the rewrites if you have to rewrite. And
Yep.
I don't know anybody that doesn't
Doesn't
ever
have
have
to
to
rewrite,
rewrite.
yeah.
And then it goes back to her and then she sends it back and then you upload and all that stuff. And I think people just don't realize what a process it is.
Yeah, that is just the beginning. And so another thing I would tell people is if you're planning to write a book and you want to release a book, from the time you start writing that book, start hyping that book. Because you have to build an audience. You can't wait until your book publishes to build your audience. I learned that the hard way with book one. So thankfully now I have people who have stuck with me all the way through, the first series and into this one. You have to build your audience, and that is something that you have to do, and nobody else can do that for you. I mean, you can get people to help you, but let's be honest, people depend on friends and family, but not all your friends and family are going to be readers. Not everybody is going to love your work. Not everybody, and so I always tell people, even if you don't have money to buy my book, if you just like on the post, if you share my work, if you tell a friend who's a reader, that's the kind of thing that really helps us as authors, because we're literally out here doing it ourselves, and we don't have the backing of a big place like Random House or all these other ones. We don't have those people on our staff. We are our staff.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree that buzz, you got to create that buzz right away. I mean, even with like my show, even before I started, my previous show, I was creating buzz
Yeah.
for 6 months before. When I got word that I was going to have my own show,
Yeah.
I was creating that buzz. And even this show, I did the same thing. After, I met with the producer, I did the same thing, created that buzz. You have to let people know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to come up and they're going to go, "What's that?"
Yeah,
Where'd
exactly.
that come from?
And I have learned you can't beat people over the head with it either. I do a lot of just posts throughout the day. Not every one of them are about my book necessarily, but a lot of them are book related, writing related. Things about my life. We do reels a lot, and those are always, places I go or things that give me ideas or whatever. So, you have to walk that fine line of letting people know what you're doing, creating the hype for it, but yet not beating them over the head with it to the point where they're like, "I'll scroll past that."
Yeah,
you know.
I was gonna say that.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think you do that. You don't do that. I love your reels too. How you use your books in your reels. One of my favorite reels that you do is, of course, Stop the Madness Author Edition.
Yes.
I love that. And then another one too is how you take and you actually take the book and put it to life by showing pictures of like houses that could be that you
Yes.
maybe were in your mind when you were writing the book. So,
Exactly. Yeah, that was a big thing for me, and I was trying to figure out how I could get people interested in the characters and really get to know them. And in order to do that, I thought, okay, I'm going to search the web over and find people that I feel like would be good inspiration characters. So somebody can, we always tend to have our own, when we read something or whatever, we tend to think, we get it in our mind what we think somebody's going to look like or whatever. Because we do a lot of descriptive work as a writer, but people still tend to get things in their head. So I wanted to give them a visual of kind of who I was thinking of as I was writing. And things like if they're hanging out in the living room, this is what I feel like their living room would look like. If they're around the fire pit, this is what it's going to look like. The places where they go, these are, this is the town. This is, my idea of what the small town. I grew up in a small town. We grew up in small towns. So we know those. We know what the streets look like, and we know, the businesses, the storefronts. And I was just trying to bring those kinds of small town things out for people so they can see what I had in mind when I was writing.
I love that. I think that's been probably those two ideas have been your most popular reels that I've seen. The view count on those, on the likes and stuff. I love that. So, finally, let us know what you got going on, promotions, signings, all that stuff. Tell us what's in your future.
Right now, I currently am running a contest over on my Facebook page. And we always see people that they go on vacation and they talk about, hey, I read this book, hey, I read that book. So I started a contest and said, while you're on vacation, if you'll take a selfie, or if you don't want to take a selfie, if you don't have your makeup on, you're not really into that, then take a picture of the book in the area you are. So if you're at the beach, if you're at the lake, if you're in Vegas, if you're in your backyard pool, it doesn't really matter. It could be your staycation. You take a picture of that book that you're reading, and then you give the appropriate hashtag. It's either going to be hashtag Mickey Bridgewater series or hashtag Eagle Lake series, and then tag me in that post. And I ran this from Memorial Day to Labor Day to give everybody time, because I know everybody's vacations are different. So once that Labor Day hits, I'm going to pull all those names in, put them on one of those big wheels and give it a spin. And they're going to win a signed copy of book 3.
Oh, okay.
So right now, I've got a signing that's coming up on July 14th at Morristown Hamlin Library. And I'm also looking at some other libraries in the area and I'm trying to look at some other fun venues that people may not think of as far as a book signing goes. But I'm trying to look at places based off of what my books are about.
Exactly.
So it would kind of draw people in and give them a reason, hey, that's a cool idea to have a book signing in this area because of that. So I'm going to be from 10 to 12 at Morristown Hamlin on July 14th. I'm super excited about them. They were very gracious, and they've already put the ad up on their website as of today. I've been feverishly checking to see if it's there yet, and they have a picture of all my books, my author bio, things like that. I'm really excited to get over there. I haven't done one in probably 5 years, I think, and my last one was at White Pine Bookstore, and I was seated beside two very well accomplished writers who had probably 15 books apiece, and I had my two tiny little books, and I was so proud of myself. And they were just wonderful, wonderful women, and they were very nice to me and very gracious and gave me all kinds of tips, so it was really nice.
You know what, though? Don't ever discount your two tiny books. That's an accomplishment, Amy, because like sometimes we meet people and they haven't even read two books.
Exactly.
And so to have written two, but to have written one book. Some people just write one book and that's it, and you know that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But you're two, and I know sitting next to two women who've written like 5-6 times that amount probably was kind of a little bit scary, but yeah, I mean, look where you are now.
Yeah, it was a little intimidating, but
Yeah.
I feel a lot better now, and I feel like I could sit alongside them sit up a little straighter now that I've done that. But I did read a statistic. It was something like if 5,000 people start a book, only 2% of those are going to finish the book.
Wow.
And of those 2% or whatever, only like 0.03% are going to ever see it published. So some people will write, but never put it out to the world. And if that's your thing, that's cool, because, I mean, some people write just because it's, you know, they want to tell a story. Maybe they're just doing it for their family, or some people write the oral histories of their family and things like that, and that's wonderful. It's a wonderful gift to hand down to somebody. I wish somebody had done that for me, because there's a lot about my family that I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a staggering statistic when you think of how many people publish books a day, and us trying to find our way in that sea of vast bookage.
It's definitely vast.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that statistic before, but you know, some people write for therapy. I know
Yes.
at my job, I tell my clients, write, journal,
Yes.
write your story. If you never publish it, write it.
Exactly.
Because it's very cathartic.
Yes,
to
it is.
put your whatever it is that you have, whether it's your pain, whether it's a happy time, or even like you said, family history. It's very cathartic to put that on
Exactly.
paper. Even if you just take it to UPS and get it bound like that and give it to your family.
Exactly,
You don't even
yeah.
have to publish it. So, well, Amy, it has been so fun having you on today and listening to you talk about your books and stuff. And, you know, I love your writing. I think you're one of the best authors I've ever read. And listen, that is stacked up against some of the biggest authors there is, like Patricia Cornwell, Stephen
Exactly.
King.
That's high praise. Thank you very much. I
Yeah,
really appreciate it. And I
yeah,
appreciate
so-
you having me on. This has been a really, really fun. We'll have to do this again,
We
definitely.
will, definitely. Yeah, definitely. When you come out with your Hallmark series. And thank you guys for tuning in today. Get Amy's books. Go to Amazon right now. We'll list them. We'll have some graphics and links to her social media that you can get in touch with her if you want to. Maybe Amy can give you some advice, but definitely order Amy's books and tune in the next time for my next exciting guest. And thank you guys for watching my very first show.